Hello and welcome to this video looking at these two minuscule little planes, the Dora Wings GB Racers R1 and R2 in 1/144th scale. And when I say tiny, I really do mean they are tiny. There is already a separate unboxing video on these kits, which you can see linked above right now. It gives you a sort of indication as to what to expect once you open the box, but this video is going to focus on building them. So, with that in mind, let's jump straight in, I suppose. According to Scalemates, the tool date is 2019. Certainly this is the only release that I have seen of these kits. There are 25 parts. There's 13 for one and 12 for the other. One decal scheme, of course, because there's not much variety you can do with R1 and R2. And the recommended retail price here in the UK is $7.99. That is exactly what I paid for them, mostly chuckling away at the idea of spending £4 each on these tiny little planes. Construction begins, as to be expected, with the interior. Now, given the size of the aircraft, I'm not expecting there to be much in here, and almost none of it is visible anyway, but they supply a seat, the headrest of which becomes a bit of a bulkhead, and an engine. This is, of course, a different engine piece for each aircraft, as R1 had a considerably larger, more powerful engine than R2. The detail on the seat is... it's fine, there's a little bit there, but the detail on the engine is actually surprisingly good, and I had a feeling it would look rather nice when assembled. But with that in mind, it was just a case of test fitting. I did find that R2, which has a narrower engine cowl at the front, didn't fit in quite as well. So here is R1, the engine is almost, as in the mounting point for the propellers is exactly in the centre, so the engine is fine, but on R2 it wasn't. It does mention a difference here, so the instructions are basically the same for both planes, and it highlights the differences. So on R2, I don't know why, but the navigation light or identification light, whatever it is, on the starboard side of the fuselage needs to be removed. The painting instructions don't actually make that very clear. It seems to show lights for both of them, but hey, that's what happens. The interior is painted silver. Again, the instructions do not tell me what colour to paint the interior, so I guessed aluminium will be good enough, and that's what I did. The engine was also given a coat of aluminium, although this will be darkened down later. I just used it as a base, had to paint something, so, you know, might as well. The fuselage can then be stuck together, and you can see there, it's fine, it's very basic interior detail, but considering how small the aircraft is, that is not a complaint at all. I was actually expecting it to have nothing, so even a seat is pretty good going. Also worth noting that even in this scale, at this size, there were locating pins or index points on the fuselage, so pins on one side, holes in the other, to enable a perfect fit from the port and starboard, or for the port and starboard sides of the fuselage. It did require a fair bit of pressure to hold it in, and I did run some Tamiya extra thin in as well, just to really get that joint going nicely. The wings can then be assembled, and I actually found that it was easier to do one wing and then one undercarriage leg at the time, because there is a small point at the top of the undercarriage leg and the wheel cover, which keeps the wing at the right sort of angle. So by doing it together, it made a lot more sense. Also, there's so little space between the undercarriage legs, given, again, the size of the aircraft, that it's easier to hold when there's only one wing and one wheel, and then vice versa. Anyway, they were then primed in white. This is just rattle can, cheap Halfords primer, blitz it all in white. And then in typical fashion for one of my videos, I then airbrushed in white. The white in question being Vallejo Model Air Insignia White, which is from a set. And of course, it's not very good content because it's white on white, so we'll gloss over that pretty quickly. One of the reasons why I bought this kit is because it had paint masks included, because something this small is clearly going to be difficult to paint without paint masks, given, you know, the intricate colour, and, well, I say intricate colour, it's not, it's red and white, but the pattern, especially getting it symmetrical. So here we have the paint masks, and what I hadn't realised until this point is they are actually different. It doesn't mention this in the instructions at all, but there is a slightly different shape between the R1 and the R2. I had already put the paint mask on R1, so I have no idea if it's the correct way around or not, but hey, we're going to go with it. So Vallejo RLM23 Red was then applied as my red of choice. The reason why I chose this red is simple. I already own it. And yeah, that's it. That's the only choice. So this was carefully sprayed on, making sure I did not spray into the angle of the paint mask, as I was a little bit worried that it hadn't quite stuck down. However, as you can see from the reveal of R1 here, those lines are pretty damn straight, and I am very happy with this result. Naturally, I paint masked R2 at the same time. I just, for most of this video, did not see the point in showing you both aircraft as they are almost identical. I say almost, one has one extra part. Anyway, onto the decaling. Firstly, everything was given a gloss base using Vallejo gloss varnish, and then these absolutely minuscule decals were put on. They'd put so much attention to detail into this that there's even decals for the propeller blades, and they are different as well, because again, R1 and R2 had different engines, different propeller blades, and they have modelled that, which, quite frankly, is bloody amazing. So, absolute 5 thumbs up for Dora Wings, and if you're wondering why I've got 5 thumbs, I live in Norfolk. The decal quality was absolutely fine. I had no issues whatsoever with any of them, beyond the usual, which is squinting because they are so extremely small. But no, they went on really, really well. And in case you're wondering what that different part is, why one of them has more parts than the other, it's because R1 has a separate propeller hub. That is it. That is the only difference. So R2 is a one-piece propeller unit, and R1 has 2. That is it. Rather than a gloss finish, I like to give my models a satin finish. Gloss doesn't scale very well. I feel it looks very toy-like. So even though the real aircraft would have been gloss, the entire aircraft was sprayed in this satin varnish. Again, all from Vallejo. This time it's the brush-ready one, so it was thinned with a bit of Vallejo airbrush thinner. This is my standard process at the moment. And then we have one glazing part per plane, which is a little bit foggy, if I'm honest. However, again, because of the scale, you really don't notice. And so a little bit of glue is put down, just a touch of glue. And again, the fit was perfect. They just went straight on. I'd like to highlight that these are so small that you're looking at them much bigger than they actually are. And a nice little touch from Dora Wings is to provide the canopy frames as a decal rather than having to paint them. So that was quite nice. And they, again, went on without any issue. And just like that, it feels like the video has only just begun, and yet the models are done. This took me a few hours over a weekend. By far the longest bit of time spent on these was masking them. And the painting instructions, as I said, were a little bit underwhelming. A couple of things I didn't show. I said I painted the engine silver. I then dropped a load of grey wash into them to darken them. So they're not painted dark, they're just a heavy wash, if you like. And it runs off some of the glossier bits of aluminium, and that's the effect it gives. And then, of course, things like the wheel hubs and tyres were painted silver and black, respectively, by just taking a big, deep breath and trying to keep my hand in an unrealistic level of steady. But hey, the end result is fantastic, especially given the size. I'm going to keep mentioning that, but the size is important. So just how small are these aircraft? Well, you can really only gauge size if you have something which is comparable, and understandably you may not know how big my hands are, so seeing me making them is probably not the best way to go. So why don't we invite the aircraft in for a little photo display just to show you quite how small these models are. Okay, I'll accept that not everybody has a 009 gauge layout on their desk, so why don't we choose something a bit more relatable, like this Airfix starter set Sherman Firefly, somewhat swamped down by these GBs, but maybe you're not the sort for that. Maybe you like guitars, so here is an iron gear guitar pick. Standard guitar pick, 1mm thick. Here it is, a 9-volt battery. But maybe you've completely converted to solar power and batteries are irrelevant. What about a tea bag? Here's one on a tea bag. Standard size tea bag, but triangular, not round. What about a soft, cuddly, adorable banana? Well, okay, maybe you're not interested in that. What about a bear called Ludwig that we won in the arcades? Here he is with both of them. Okay, a real banana. That's more comparable. But then I guess not all bananas are the same size. So what about an egg? It's a large egg, free range, important for size comparison. Here is a cork from, I believe, a wine bottle. Standard size, both the bottle and the cork. What about a teaspoon? Got to take your medicine. In this case, your medicine is GBR2. But I fear these comparisons are getting a bit silly, so let's brush our teeth and put them to bed. So, on a serious note, what do I think of them? I bought them as a bit of a joke, I'm not going to lie. I saw them, thought, why would you make a GB in this scale? This is absolutely stupid, but I've been inspired by seeing the 1/144th SIG and their ridiculous displays of these minute models and how good they can get them, and the fact that it had paint masks took a lot of the effort away anyway. And I thought, what the hell? They're genuinely really good models. They fit really nicely. They're so small you don't have to worry about filler so much because you can't bleed and see anything. And they seem to make a reasonable representation of the GB. Honestly, I am very happy with them and would thoroughly recommend. If you're interested in something a bit different and you have the eyes for it, then yes, I thoroughly recommend these, and with great pleasure can give the Dora Wings 1/144th scale GB racers a solid out of 10. Sorry about that, I always seem to get the BGs and the GBs mixed up. I have no idea why. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you would like, and you can also be like one of these legends on screen and become a channel member to help keep me relatively sane. And with enough peer pressure, I'm pretty sure I can stop putting BG references in videos, although admittedly this is the first time. Anyway, thanks again. I know it's a quick one, but these are very small models and very enjoyable. It's helped get my modelling mojo back. Let me know what you think, comment down below. I'm always happy to see what you've got to say about not only my build but the models in general. And for now, that's all. So have a lovely rest of your existence and hopefully you'll spend some more of it watching one of my videos. Good day.